This week on Music Worth Buying, we're going to be hearing new music from the self-titled debut by the Empty Hearts.
And Ted Nugent's Shut Up and Jam.
Welcome to Music Worth Buying. My name is Robert Kinsler and I'm a music writer and a musician.
And my name is TJR and I'm a musician and a music writer.
Now this week on Music Worth Buying we're going to be bringing you some exciting new albums. I'm going to kick things off today with the self-titled debut by the Empty Hearts. Now this is actually a supergroup that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. I'm a little bit surprised. The lineup features, just so I don't mess anybody's name up here, Clem Burke, he was the founding drummer of Blondie. You have Elliot Easton, who is the talented and fantastic lead guitar player.
Yeah.
Never got the credit and
I
kind
agree,
of recognition.
Yeah.
Guy's plays these great concise leads that really say something. I just love it.
Yeah.
And then Wally Palmer, who's was the lead vocalist of the Romantics when they began.
Okay.
You know, What I Like About You and all that.
Yeah.
And then Andy Babuik, and I hope I'm pronouncing Andy's last name right. He was the bassist and does vocals too, and he was one of the Chesterfield Kings.
Okay.
And like I said, this album came out in the summer of 2014. A very good album. And you know what I like about it is that these guys are sound and playing like a young band like the Stripes. I mean,
which is featured on the show
a
while back.
They just bust out of the gate. The performances are loose and raucous, and you can just tell they're having a lot of fun. And what's more, the songs are great. Really, you know, exciting choruses. You know, these songs are the first or second listen you get them. They're just there, and they're just really good, infectious tunes and stuff. You can't say enough good things about it. So why don't we kick things off? Speaking about, you know, speeding along here, 90 miles an hour down a dead-end street. That's the first song on the album.
Okay.
And let's listen to a little bit of that one.
Yeah, I'm really curious because I had not heard about these guys until you brought them here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really want to hear this.
So here it is. Let's listen to a little bit of the Empty Hearts.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now, here she comes. Looks so good, got me on a run. No stop sign or speed limit. Gonna keep me from forgetting it. Been looking for someone like you. Whoa, slow down, we're moving too fast.
And that was a little bit of 90 miles an hour down a dead-end street, the first song from the Empty Hearts. And, you know, one of the great things about that song, and there's all kinds of exciting things on it, is you hear, like we were talking about, just the band's just loose and rocking in the studio. And then you hear Wally Palmer from the Romantics, and not only is he singing great, and he still sounds fantastic, but he's just playing this mean kind of blistering harmonica, and it's just, there's just a real throwback feel to the music without it sounding just, you know, kind of like a simple retread of what we've heard before. It harkens back, you said, to the 60s.
The vocal harmonies, and there is a definite, I really feel like there's a real kind of, it reminds me a little bit of like the early Who.
Yeah.
When they were very energized, when they were just very young, and just really just kind of loud and just raucous and just very loose.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case. But the songs, they have great structures, great bridges and choruses and stuff. But there is that sense, like, you know, they wrote the songs and they recorded them, and they wanted to make sure they didn't strip the emotion out of what they were doing.
Didn't overthink it. Yeah,
didn't overthink it, and that comes across on the album. And you sense that the first time you listen to it, and then on subsequent listens, it also comes across. You know, and that was one of the reasons I liked Shoe's Ignition album too, that we did previous on the album. Just these veteran artists that yet they're sounding young and hungry, and the music is just so infectious and alive and stuff. And now the package is pretty simple here. It comes in a standard jewel case, kind of a neat interior there, and a photo of the band today. And then
I like their logo.
Yeah, a great logo. And just some notes about the album, who plays on it, the producer, and a picture of them there, and then kind of a neat picture of them on the back in black and white too. So
and it's very sparse, but that's probably because that's all they can afford to do.
Right, exactly.
You know, more and more, it's getting harder to make a bigger production out of your CD because it's become cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
You know, because people are stealing music.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. And I would encourage people to go out and support, whether you buy it on iTunes or buy the CD, support this and give these guys a chance. If you're a fan of the Romantics or the Cars, you know, or early Blondie, back when those bands were kind of just coming out of the gate. It doesn't necessarily mind what those groups were doing directly, but you know the talent of the players.
Well, I was going to say that. None of this sounds like anybody's previous band.
No,
really.
it doesn't.
Except that it's just rock and roll.
It's rock and roll,
you know. But none of it really sounds like they found their own sound.
Yeah.
None of it sounds like, oh, that sounds like the Cars. That sounds like Blondie.
Yeah, there's not a moving in stereo on here or anything like that. I mean, this is very. But again, you can see that this probably takes all these guys back to the music they were listening to when they were kids.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, the early '60s and stuff like that. And you know, I'd say there's three kind of styles that you hear on the album. You hear kind of like the garage rock stuff. You hear kind of the power pop stuff, like early power pop, and then the next song is representative of the third style. And let's listen to a little bit of that song, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
All right, cool.
Takes a little time. You can make it if you try. Take a little time. To fill an empty heart.
And that song is called "Fill an Empty Heart," which so you can see where the band got their name, the Empty Hearts. But and that's kind of that third style of song that they do on here, kind of, I'd say, an Americana kind of ballads. And they do those very well too, as you can hear from the snippet that we heard.
It's a good song.
Yeah, and there's another song called "I Found You Again." And almost, when I was listening to it, I go, wow, that's a song that would fit right alongside the other songs on the Byrds' "The Sweetheart of the Rodeo" back in '68, and just sound fantastic. But these are very good songs, and it's going to be exciting. I'm hoping to be able to see the band when they head out on tour this fall. Apparently they are going to be touring in support of the Empty Hearts album. So, you know, if you like what you hear here, maybe you can even go catch them live.
Cool.
So
it's good to know that it's good to know that they are not just a studio band.
Yeah.
That they're actually, you know, going to go out there and be a live band.
Yeah, it's great, and I hope they're having as much fun as what I'm hearing on the record, because it sounds great.
Hope so too.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for bringing that in. And okay, so no one is more surprised than me that I am excited to feature the latest album by Ted Nugent, Shutup&Jam. And now, I don't want this conversation to get political. You and I are politically different from each other,
right,
but we are okay discussing. You're one of the people I'm okay with discussing politics with, because we listen to each other,
right? Yeah,
and we don't make gross assumptions about the other based on how we feel about certain political ideologies. And my reason I said this about Nugent is not because of his politics, okay? Even though I agree with some of what he says, I disagree with some of what he says. Lately, he said a lot of things that I felt has made him a major a-hole, in my opinion. Just because
I think he's alienated about everybody.
But you know, but not because of that, but because I just felt like he hasn't had anything musically interesting to say for a long time, and that a lot of what he's musically said has been political soapboxing, which gets tired and old, because being political in songs, as I've said before, it's a tricky tightrope to walk, because you can come off so soapboxing and so trite and so preachy if you're not careful. It's a real tightrope, and sometimes it's subjective how you react to it, and based on whether you agree with it or not, you know. So I kind of thought that he'd ran out of anything musically interesting to say for a long time. So I'm just really kind of knocked out and absolutely bowled over by how good this album is. This is probably one of the best albums he's done, I think, since that first album he did, the one that just says Ted Nugent, which I have in my music collection, which I like a lot, the one with Mark St. John on lead vocals. And Mark St. John does do a one-track appearance on this album. So does Sammy Hagar. He does a one-track appearance also. I never really quite agreed with the whole shut up and sing crowd.
Yeah.
You know, during the Iraq War, you know, you only heard them tell people like the Dixie Chicks and Pearl Jam to shut up and sing. You never heard them tell Ted Nugent and Toby Keith to shut up and sing.
Right.
You know, so I can't believe that the opening title track of this album is "Shut Up" and is called "Shutup&Jam." He's basically telling himself to shut up and just play. And he gets into that in the lyrics. I think the lyrics are very funny and very clever, and the song is really good. So we're going to play a little bit of that right now.
Great. Yeah, I haven't heard it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Here we go.
Good, bad, it all gets boring and old. The only hope for America is that good old rock and roll. So shut up and jam.
And you know, I just said I hadn't heard Shut Up and Jam before. Although I have not heard this recording, I did see Ted Nugent not long ago, and I think he did this song. It kind of jumped back at me, and yeah, it's very, very funny, and it is like he's kind of like being satirical about himself. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's getting boring. Right, left is boring. People just want to hear you play music. You know.
You know, I've never, like I said, never. I don't think anybody should. You should say to anybody, shut up and sing. Yeah. I would not tell Ted Nugent to shut up and sing any more than I would tell Pearl Jam to shut up and sing. And if you go see Pearl Jam and get offended by a political statement that that Eddie Vedder might make,
right? Yeah,
you've got no one to blame but yourself. What did you expect? You're going to go see Pearl Jam. Same with Ted Nugent. If you go to Ted Nugent's show and get offended by something he says, well, what were you expecting? You know, you've got no one to blame but yourself
and
for getting upset about it.
And when I saw him, he actually probably didn't say some of the more outrageous things, at least that I've heard he said. But there, still, when he got political at one point, I think he was talking about the Second Amendment or something. You did have some people in the crowd booing. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't say it was a majority, but again, it did surprise me because it's like you're at a Ted Nugent show. You don't know anything about the guy. I mean, yeah, that's it. Just like you're right. I went to Pearl Jam, and yeah, you're gonna say, you're gonna get kind of left politics when you go to Pearl Jam. You're going to kind of get far right politics when you go to Nugent, and that's kind of goes with the. But do you like the music and do you respect the artist and stuff like that? Yeah.
Exactly, so, but anyways, though, on this album, I should talk a little bit more about the songs. He avoids soapboxing for the most part, and which, like I said, it's a fine line. You know, if you want to write about your politics or your religious beliefs or whatever, you got better write a really good song. But what he does is he keeps. For instance, he keeps the themes universal. He has a song there called I Still Believe. He keeps the lyrics very universal so that pretty much anyone from any political background can relate to it. This is like what Yusuf, the artist known as Yusuf, formerly Cat Stevens, did whenever he went into spiritual territory with his two most recent albums. You know, he kept it very universal, so it didn't matter what your spiritual background was, you could relate to what he was doing. It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
We're gonna packaging-wise, I should talk about this. This comes in a standard jewel case, and it does come with a booklet. The booklet's nicely done, in my opinion. It's full color, and if I can get the booklet out of here without damaging it.
Yeah. Without tearing it to shreds,
right? To shreds, yes. And there we go.
There
we got it out now. It's a professional show, folks.
We need to build a better mousetrap here.
We do. But it comes with lots of photos, and it comes with lyrics. It comes with a little opening statement, which I thought was very cool, where he just talks about his life and about his past and about his many experiences. I think this is actually a cool bit here. And then all the lyrics are included. They're easy to read, and lots of cool photos, and a good package, I think. Good package. And we're going to listen to a track now where he has Mark St. John guest vocaling. And this is, I think, the best song on the album. In fact, I really think Ted needs to do more tracks with guest vocalists because he can musically expand more when he's not having to have to sing and play at the same time. A lot of times when he's singing and playing, he has to move the guitar a certain way so that he can accommodate his vocals, whereas when he's just playing, he can really let loose a whole lot more. And this certainly shows on this track here that we're going to listen to. Let's just listen to it. This is with, of course, Mark St. John guest vocals, and then it's called Everything Matters. And let's see what you think here.
Great.
Isn't that gonna be alright? 'Cause you got your baby all around. I'm not too concerned. I might get burned. Who knows? Lessons to be learned. More stones to overturn. I know.
Yeah, I really like that, and like you're saying, it does look like Nugent's able to kind of, especially with some of the filling in of the riffs that go kind of amidst the vocals, and there he's kind of more free to be creative and kind of do what he does so well on guitar.
Yeah, same with the track with Sammy Hagar doing lead vocals, which I wish we could play, but you know, like I said, we can only choose 2 tracks.
Right.
So I chose this too. But Mark St. John, why isn't this guy doing more at this point in time? His voice is amazing on this. So is Sammy's, of course. I mean, Ted's voice is good too. And I'm not trying to denigrate Nugent as a vocalist. He's got a great vocal too. But I've noticed that sometimes his guitar playing has to match his vocals for him to do both at the same time in some cases. And he can expand so much more when he's not singing. So I hope that he does a little bit more sometimes, get some other guest vocalists in and out on his, if he does more recordings, and especially after hearing this, I hope he does more, to be honest. Anyways, there are like 2 clunker songs on the album that I didn't care for, and I think those are really good odds. And so, and the other tracks are so damn good that it just makes up for it, in my opinion.
And he is a really good guitar player, like I said. Because I just recently saw him. I was very impressed. And this album, from
I
what
wish
you
I could
played,
play as good as him.
No, from what I've heard today, I actually want to hear that album.
No, you're not going to be disappointed. Another good thing is that he also, we had a conversation a while back, an online conversation, one of our previous shows. Our album's too long. You know, we have talked about this. We think a lot of artists let their albums just go on for too long these days because they can. And he, I think very smartly, keeps this album in at around 40-45 minutes. Even with the bonus track, there's a track where there's a rock version and a blues version. They're both great versions. They're both equally worth listening to. But he keeps this album reined in at about 40-45 minutes. He remembers how long albums should be. And kudos to him for doing that.
Well, thanks for bringing that in.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And, you know, one thing we want to invite and remind everybody out there is please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. We're going to be talking about all kinds of great music in the weeks ahead, and definitely we'd love for all of you to join us.
Yes, and also, for those of you that have subscribed, thank you very much. And I thank everybody who's been sharing us so far on their Facebook and Twitter feeds. I've gotten those notices, and we really appreciate it. And also be sure to click under More Info, where you can link to the blog page and where you can link to Amazon, where you can purchase these albums either physically or digitally, whatever your choice is, and show your support for not only all the musicians but all the craftspeople who are involved in bringing this music to you. And also please like us on Facebook. We're a little lonely there. We'd love it if you'd like us on Facebook because there's lots of posts there. There's all of Robert's print reviews being posted there, stuff that's not on the channel here. So please like us on Facebook. And until next time, my name is TJR. You can check out my music at tjrmusic.com and check out my solo reviews here at the YouTube channel.
And my name is Robert Kinsler, and you can read more of my reviews at ocregister.com. Those tend to be concert reviews, and you can read all my album and music DVD reviews and some of my other posts at musicworthbuying.com.
We'll see you next time.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.
And of course, you can read more of my work at ocregister.com and at musicworthbuying.com.
We'll see you next time.
See you later, everybody.
Bye. Oh, man.
Man, that was not what I refined.
I wonder if that came out.